friends, it's Romania Black, and we're on episode 13 of Blue Lock, baby! Yeah! It is freaking cold outside, and so I have sleeves on underneath my Yakushi jersey from Ace of the Diamond, and I'm pretty excited because we've decided we're in the second selection. We're in the third stage of the second selection, in which first stage was you had to get 100 goals in 90 minutes. Pretty darn hard in itself, but Asagi made it pass, and so did Bachara and Kunigami and Shigiri that we know of so far. And then the second stage was to pick a team of 3, which is actually harder than you think. We talked about that in the discussion last episode, but Bachara and Asagi somehow roped Nagi into being in their team, or rather, Nagi roped them into being in his team. So we got this weird 3-way competition. It's insanity. And then we also have the third stage, which is you had to pick a team of 3 to battle against, and it's kind of like Red Rover. If you win, you take a player from their team, you keep on going till you win and get a team of 5, and that's how you advance into the third selection, whatever that's going to be like. Ego has a lot of time on his hands and a lot of creativity and has clearly thought about this quite a lot, even though he's not really concerned about the finances of it. That's where Henri comes in, but whatever. So I want to talk about this comment thing that I've got going on here before we start this episode. Geen. I like that Geen pointed out that with this second selection and the way that things work, it's a really cool way to avoid power scaling, where we talk about how originally we thought that Asagi's building was the lowest of the 5, and it turns out, no, they're all on pretty equal playing fields. They just all thought they were the lowest of the 5. I like that because I've been really worried. I'm like, we've seen how hard it was for them to make it to this stage of the game. If they were at the bottom of the barrel and had to face people infinitely stronger than them, like how is the mangaka gonna keep topping themselves? And here, that's not a problem. So I really like that. I agree with Geen. It's a nice way of handling the power scaling of it and making it much more realistic. That's all really well and good. And then Wim had a bunch of stuff for me. So let's get into this. I really like the idea that Asagi, their number 11 jersey, which in the sports anime world, the number 11 is synonymous with your protagonist, right? I would think the only exception is like in Slam Dunk, Sakuragi takes the number 10 jersey and he makes Kaneda take the number 11 jersey just out of sheer spite. But that's like the only example. In the other worlds, you have like Hinata, I'm pretty sure is number 11. You have an Ace of the Diamond. Sawamura is number 11 at some point. You have lots of characters that the number 11 kind of falls in line with them. But I liked the idea that Asagi was number 11, and he had his awakening in episode 11 of the anime. Now, whether that ties to the manga in any way or if it's just sheer coincidence in the anime, I don't know. But Wim had a really good thing about defending the green aura for Asagi. I don't mind the green aura. At first, I'm like, well, but nobody else's aura is a different color than their eyes. So it kind of was, I'm like someone that wants it to be in a certain order, and I was like, this is weird. But Wim had a very good defense. So we hear Wim out. Wim said that the green aura, if Asagi's eyes are the water, the green aura attaches to the land because the Yo in Yoichi, Asagi means the world. So I'm like, okay, we have the globe, and you're saying that the green and blue is the land and the sea. All right, I'm with you. I'm following along with this. It also ties to the idea of sprouts of green, that Asagi is a little sprout popping up in the Blue Lock world. All right, I will go with that. The growth and plant metaphors, I'm digging it. And then also, Bachara, their aura is yellow and Asagi's is green. And if they come together and work together, yellow plus blue equals green. So yeah, fine. If you want to ship it and say that Bachara plus Asagi equals the green aura of it awakening, fine. I don't mind the green aura. I'm just used to like green eyes, green aura. Like every other character has their eye color match the aura. So it's just taken me a little bit to get to it, but I don't dislike it. I think it's fine. We'll see how it goes. They also sent me this little thing that they could talk about now about the horoscopes and the astrological signs of the characters, which I'm like, okay. And there is a hell of a lot of Scorpios, Leos, and Aries in this series. I was like, man, lots of fire signs, lots of wind signs. Whew, we're just gonna make that fire burn brighter, aren't we? Not a lot of earth and water. Speaking of world, but Geen, Gagamaru, is a Capricorn, along with Chigiri. Chigiri is I like that Kelsey, who is a patron that has commented a lot on the Ace of the Diamond videos, they're a Capricorn, and they have told me there's a difference between a December Capricorn and a January Capricorn, and I'm like, ooh, interesting. Kind of like an April Taurus versus a May Taurus, and I'm like, interesting. But Chigiri is a December Capricorn, for whatever it's worth, and Gagamaru is a January Capricorn, for whatever it's worth. Don't know. The only Aquarius in the near cast is Nico, which, all right, I can see Nico. My best friend's an Aquarius, so I'm like, all right, fair. Pisces, Kunigami, as well as Naruhaya. We don't know them near, well, Kunigami we know is a Pisces. All right. Naruhaya, not so much. Aoshi and Ego is an Aries, and Asagi and Noah are Aries. So it's like, Asagi's also born on April Fool's Day, which is funny. I like that. I like when characters are born on April Fool's Day. And Ego was born a day before, so April Fools had my kid before April Fool's Day. And then we only have one Taurus, which is Nagi. My boy Nagi being a Taurus, I'm like, yes, please. Yes, please. That actually may work out, because typically Taurus like things that are refined, and they like high class. They have lots of decadence and things like that. So he will do well in the Rayo lifestyle. I think he'll be fine, right? Kira is a Gemini, which as well as Okawa was a Gemini. All right. Baro is a Cancer. That's interesting. I feel like I would not have pegged Baro as a Cancer, so it's curious. As well as Igarashi and Imamura are Cancers. Like Igarashi and Imamura, I know some Cancers, I can see that, but Baro, fascinating. And then Bachiru, Rayo, Henri, and the twins are all Leos. Now, Bachira is a Leo? Yes. Rayo is a Leo? Yes. I would have pegged Rayo as a Scorpio, but I could see it as a Leo. It's fine. And Henri is a Leo? Absolutely. The twins? Sure. Reen, who we just met officially last episode, is a Virgo. And I'm like, I could see that. Virgo, one of my best friends is a Virgo, and they are very meticulous. And I'm like, okay, that seems to track. We'll see how that goes. And then Sai, his brother, is, Sai and Raichi are effing Libras. Of course they're Libras. I feel like that actually fits, because it's about balance, and we know Raichi can be both the soft and the crude, so that makes sense. And Sai also seems, or Raichi can be that way. And Sai, yeah, all right. I think that'll work. I could see that. I also like that Itoshi Rin is born on 9/9, September 9th, and Sai is born on October 10th, or 10/10. Come on now. Be a little more creative, mangaka. And then Zantetsu is a Scorpio. All right. Zantetsu kind of gives me like Akashi vibes from, or Akashi vibes from Haikyuu, so I can kind of see the Scorpio. Jubei, or Jujubee as I call him, the beautiful one with the long hair, Jujubee, they are a Scorpio. Okay, that seems to track. As well as Cone. Cone being a Scorpio very much tracks. And then Lemon. Lemon being a Scorpio? All right. I'll take it. I'll take it. So yeah, interesting. Interesting indeed. I would do a whole thing about the compatibility of characters based on the astrological signs, but I'll probably wait until next episode, because I've nearly spent 10 minutes talking about this one. So I'll just wait until next week to do the astrological compatibility with any of the comments that we have lingering that are left to talk about. But I'm really excited for this episode, y'all. I can't wait. I've waited all week to watch this episode because of scheduling, and so I'm really excited to sit down and watch it. So a very quick shout out over to our philanthropy tier over at Patreon. Thank you all so much for supporting me, as well as those on Patreon supporting as well. I want to give a special shout out to our philanthropy tier, who has been updated quite a bit. We have Alex Cornejo, Anime Annie, we have Anna, we have Be Happy, we have Dana, we have Destiny Marie, we have Edgar, we have Eric, we have Curie, we have Matthew Palfinier, Nameless Monster, Shimoyama, Sunspots, Trails, Translucent Men, Tyrone, Lyndon, Jimmy Lujan, AkuQ, Danger Zone, and Loisa G. So every time I say Danger Zone, I've got to say it that way. Also, it's getting close to the holiday season, and as you're finishing up your reactions to Blue Lock, and we're waiting on the second season, which I know we still have plenty of episodes to go, but while you're waiting in the holiday season, there is another sports anime you might want to check out, and I'll let Trikawa tell you all about it.
Look, it's been real, guys, but I just don't think I can be on a 3-man team with you all. I think instead I'm going to go over here and be on the team with these characters from Ace of the Diamond. Yes, I think that if I had to pick a 3-person team outside of Blue Lock, I would pick Miyuki Kazuya, Salamura Eijun to be on my 3-person team, and we would be unstoppable. No offense to you guys. Didn't you have some other guy that was like with Yakushi or something? Yeah, he's on a 4-person team now. Well, in any case, I hope you guys enjoy this episode of Blue Lock. And when you're done with that, you can go give Ace of the Diamond a look of your own. Now, back to the reaction.
I get really excited, and then I nearly forget the Ace of the Diamond ads. But yes, so I'm excited, y'all. I hope you all are as well. But we're not going to waste any more time. We're going to dive right in and see what we get. So, with that being said, I hope y'all are ready, but we're going to start Blue Lock episode 13. And we're going to do that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Well, that did not go how I thought it was going to go. Oh, no. I mean, let's be real for a second. Let's be real for a hot second. Did we really think that Asagi and Bachara and Nagi, who just formed a 3-person team. Now, granted, Asagi and Bachara have been working together, but that's kind of the interesting thing about this, right? That's kind of the interesting thing about this. Did I think that this ragtag group, Bachara, Asagi, and Nagi, were gonna beat Rin and Jujubee and Aoshi? No. But did it hurt watching it happen? Yes. Oh, and they took Bachara. Oh, that's such a safe choice. That's such a clever choice for the mangaka, but such a safe choice, and we'll talk about why. But man, oh, so Jujubee, or are you? I'm gonna call him Jujubee because he's glam enough to be on Drag Race. Let's be real. That hair is glorious. How it doesn't get in his face and like whack. I was just waiting for it to like whack Asagi upside the head, the hair. I was waiting for him to be like, like the whole time. Yeah. So, we'll say, I think that it's a very smart move to have Bachara separated from Asagi. We're going to talk about this. Aside from Jujubee, Aoshi and Rin have some a bit disturbing mentalities about soccer that we need to address. But what's interesting is that this series, the whole idea of Blue Lock is to become an egoist, which is someone that can stand alone, and propel a team. And I feel as if Jujubee or Aryu and Rin and Aoshi kind of embody that, because they are basically, you have Rin, which we'll talk about here. We have Jubei or Jujubee, and then you have Aoshi. Bless his little lamb heart, right? He's more like a ram than a lamb. And then now we have Bachara, right? But they all kind of embody a certain mentality that is essentially this idea that we alone are great strikers, right? That we alone are great strikers, and that we can do things by ourselves if we need to. We don't need to use the other team to get the job done. If we get in a bind, yeah, sure, we can pass the ball to somebody else, but it's not necessary, right? Whereas here we have this idea, and I'll put them over here, where we have Nagi. We have Nagi and we have Asagi, which now they're stuck together. The harem, we'll talk about the whole harem thing and everything. But with them, they're extremely talented. They are talented, but have relied on others, right? Isagi or Nagi brings it up quite frankly when Bachara passes him the ball. He's like, "Oh, this is different than what I'm used to with Reo," and we'll talk about that. But Isagi and Nagi have relied upon someone else being a part of their success. And now what's interesting is that both those pieces that have been integral to their success are gone. So it's going to be super interesting to see where do we go to from here. Obviously, I think what's going to happen is that, Nagi and Isagi now have to face another group that lost a player. And they're going to have to, gain a player back and work their way back up to Reen and the others. Do I think they're going to do it? Yes. Do I think that the thing that's going to be interesting is Nagi going to make it to the end? Do I think Isagi's going to make it to the end? Yes, he's the main character, right? But we'll talk about how there were some subversions with the main character in this episode. Do I think Isagi's going to make it to the end of this selection? Yes, because Bachara's going to be like, you made it. He's going to be like, all right, let's go. But I think there's some interesting possibilities that could happen because of this. So we know that Nagi and Isagi now have to face a group of two. They have to face a group of two. There's going to be an interesting question here. What if they end up facing Chigiri and Kunigami? That would be terrifying. Because if they face Chigiri and Kunigami, they have to fight their friends. That would be terrifying. And not only would that be terrifying because of that, then they got to pick one of them. Then they'd have to pick which one do we select, right? Or if they lose, if they lose, Chigiri and Kunigami are going to pick Isagi. That was no question, right? But then what happens to Nagi? Nagi gets pushed back, and he possibly will be out of the game completely. I don't know, right? Isn't that crazy? I feel like that would be such a waste of Nagi's character, though, if Nagi got... I want Nagi to advance to the third selection, because I feel like Nagi's character has so much potential, especially with, his ego being curious and all that. I feel like there's so much potential with Nagi's character, but do I think that the creator of Blue Lock that had Kira go home the very first episode, do I think that he would get him out of there? Yeah, I think so. But that would be really hard. And then if Nagi and Isagi won against Chigiri and Kunigami, who would they pick? That's a hard decision. I think that Baro is going to end up joining them, Chigiri and Kunigami. I don't think it's Reo. It could be Reo, but I don't know. So there's a big question with that, what do we do? This whole thing right here, I feel like I'm going to have to wait till the next episode to find out who's the next team they face. And when they face a team that's like, oh, did you guys lose? Who from your team got picked? And they're like, Bachara, and they're like, oh, that's going to be an interesting discussion. But poor Isagi and Nagi, they're going to have to pick up the pieces because now they've lost a second time. And it's like, ooh. I figured they were going to lose, but I thought that it was going to be either Isagi or Nagi chosen. I thought at first Isagi was going to get picked because he's the main character, but I like that he doesn't get picked because that kind of subverts the idea of, oh, the main character, they're going to be the one chosen to advance through. No, that's too easy, right? That's too easy. If Reen chose Isagi, that would be far too easy. And what I think is going to happen is that, Reen and Isagi are being set up to be legit rivals. Legitimate rivals. Right? I feel like they're being set up to be even more rivals than Nagi and him are. So it's kind of setting up that dynamic there. And then Bachara is like, I guess I got no choice but to go with him. But we're going to talk about Bachara at the very end. So I'm glad that Isagi didn't get chosen, even though I thought it was going to go that route. I think it's much smarter to have the main character have to struggle and work their way up. It's going to make Isagi grow more as a character doing it than giving him the easy way out. Right? Because I don't think anybody's going to give these four a challenge at this point. And then with Nagi, I thought for a second they were going to pick Nagi's character because I was like, well, he's really, really talented, but no, they didn't pick Nagi. And I think that's because Nagi and Isagi, they are reliant upon other characters still, whereas Bachara is the more independent one, and this team's pretty independent already, so Bachara was the easy choice, right? These guys are gonna... Here's the thing. Nagi doesn't think enough, and Isagi overthinks. And Batra doesn't have to do either. Batra is just good. So that's kind of the shade. It's like, okay, we need to get to the point where Nagi needs to... Nagi was just in this one game starting to think up strategies. He's like a baby lamb. He was just starting to think up strategies. So it's like, okay, you've not thought enough about the process. You've just been naturally stinking good. So you need to think more about the process. Isagi overthinks. Isagi has a great talent, but he overthinks everything. He is constantly like, what do I do? What about this? What happens here? He overthinks it too much, and he needs to get where he's confident enough to just do the damn thing without overthinking it. And Batra doesn't have to overthink. He knows exactly what he needs to do. He walks. It kind of has been foreshadowed since the beginning of the series because Batra has just always just been hanging around being like, okay, I'll do whatever we need to. Let's go. And just does it. Like Batra's he just naturally does it, right? So, let's talk about this episode though. Oh my God. Oh buddy. Let's talk about this episode because it was crazy. So we have the Rin, and of course we have Rin versus Isagi, Batra, and then Aoshi. I love Aoshi's his little big-eyed avatar there. Ridiculous. Now, okay, Nagi is like 6'2", 6'3", because he's 190 centimeters. I'm pretty sure it's 6'3". He's freaking tall. So is Rin and Jujubee. Jujubee and Aoshi, they're all freaking tall. I would say Batra and Isagi are the shortest of those six, right? And then Jujubee, like Aoshi is a big, burly guy. He's got some muscles on him. He's just like this, so you can't really tell. And then Jujubee is very, very athletic, and Rin is as well. So they go in the stage. I like the concept that they've made. They've made the courts mini. They've adjusted the proportions. They've proportionized. In the words of RuPaul Drag Race, they proportionized to make it all fit the ratio of 3 players versus 3. I think that's clever. I think it's smart. I like there's no timer. It's just you shoot until you have 5 goals. That seems reasonable enough because you conditioned them in the first stage to do 100 goals in 90 minutes. So it shouldn't be that hard to make a goal at this point. If you made it past that first stage, you should be able to score a goal rather quickly. Now it's just the fact of it's like a simulated real life scenario from stage 1 of the second selection. I could see where people would be kind of frustrated that the goalies suck, that are the AI goalies. But here's the thing. That is intentional. The AI goalies are supposed to suck because it's supposed to be your team versus their team. The AI goalies should not be a crutch, right? And I could see where a team might be like, oh, well, we don't have to worry about defense. We've got an AI goalie here. But if it's not that great, then yeah, you've got to be on your game. And like Isagi blocking the ball that one time, you have to be able to step in and go beyond to do what you need to do to save the goal. So I like that. I like that the AI goalies are not something you can use as a crutch. They're literally just there. Lemon is probably more reliable than the AI goalies, right? Oh my God. I also love that the Nagi and Batra banter is like the simplest thing where Nagi's like, our blue lock man is white. And Batra is like, yeah, it's cyber as hell. Isn't that cool? I feel like Batra just goes with the flow so much with everybody that even though he doesn't want to join Rin and them's team, he's probably like, eh. And here's the thing, at the end of the day, Batra is the Harem Club president. He is the president of the Isagi Harem Club. And I think he knows that Isagi's going to get to the other side. But he's like, I'm not going to... I like that Batra is not codependent on Isagi. Rayo is a bit codependent on Nagi. Let's be clear. Rayo was really codependent last episode, being like, what do you mean you're leaving me? Huh, I don't know, and having a panic attack. Batra's like, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to become Japan's greatest top striker, so... okay. You know what it reminded me of? It reminds me of the relationship between, it's in season 11 of RuPaul's Drag Race where it's Vanjie and Brooklyn Heights. Batra is Brooklyn Heights and Isagi is Vanjie, Mateo. And they kind of had like a relationship on the show, but Brooklyn was clearly gonna like be one of the top competitors and Vanjie was like clawing their way up there. And there's a point where it kind of becomes very apparent that Brooklyn is gonna, spoilers for Drag Race season 11, but it becomes apparent in the next 30 seconds. Just skip if you don't want that spoiler. But it becomes apparent that Brooklyn is going to advance further than Vanjie. And Brooklyn's like, hey, love you, but I'm going after the crown, so sorry. That's kind of the vibe that I got here. Bachara's like, I'm still the club president of the Asagi Harem fan club, but the monster in me is telling me I've got to keep moving forward. So I can't, you know, it's kind of like what Nagi did last episode with Reo. Nagi's like, I'll see you on the other side. And Bachara's like, don't let me down, Fancy. Here's your one chance. Don't let me down. Make it to the other side so we can see each other again, please. But I was like, oh my God. It's great, right? And we have our team shot, yeah, of them. Meanwhile, we have these three who look either aloof, don't care. I like that Bachara and Nagi and Asagi try to have like the badass pose. And then Jujubee is like, oh my God, my hair is like, do you guys feel something? And Ashi's like, I don't know what to do. And Rin's like, I could care less about being here. OMG. So yeah, and I like that we start this episode where Asagi's like, I'll win and make Itoshi Rin join my team. At this point, it's starting to become a little bit predictable when characters say, I'm going to make this happen, or we're going to win. I'm like, you're not. And I'm like, mangaka, you got to stop having these characters say that, or I'm going to start predicting the plot, right? But, oh my God. So yeah, Bachara is just really good. And Bachara's like Bachara really kind of carried the team this game. Like, Bachara gave the ball to Nagi. Bachara was there for backup with Asagi. Let them score the goal. It was very, like, Bachara kind of carried them for a while. So having Bachara leave the team and join Rin's team, I wasn't expecting it, but now that it's happened, it kind of makes all the sense because now Asagi doesn't have... Bachara's always been, like, a support anchor for Asagi. Bachara's always been there for him since the very beginning. And now Asagi's going to have to figure out, what do I do without him? How do I advance further and get stronger without him there to support me? And we'll just have to see what happens, right? So it's like Asagi, you know, Nagi is going to have to move on from Reo's help. And Asagi is going to have to not rely on Bachara. I mean, it's stronger for both the characters. They both need that. I'm here for it. Also... when I'm at the point where they high-fived and Nagi's like, you're very efficient now. And Isagi's like, yeah. And they went, it was the most platonic high-five. They're like, yeah. What's funny is that there's been a lot of videos. Crispy Nats is one of them. I didn't watch all of Crispy Nats videos because there were spoilers to series I haven't watched yet that I want to. But they were talking about how in sports anime, it's like, it is the most homoerotic in a lot of ways, but it's also so romantic and like everything is emotionally heightened because it's anime. But like, you have Bachara like grabbing onto Asagi, getting piggyback rides for him, hugging him, like constantly physically touching him all over. And then you have Asagi and Nagi going, yeah. I'm not shipping Nagi and Asagi. To me, Nagi and Asagi have been separated from their ships, and they both have to get stronger as characters to meet back up with their ships. That's where I'm at right now. So I'm like, okay, I think if Asagi was by himself and was not with Nagi, I'd feel really bad for him. But I feel like they're both kind of in the same boat. And I just like how Nagi and Bachara have the most, like, Nagi is surprisingly, Nagi and Rin are very different. They're both kind of, Nagi seems like a cold character because he's so aloof, but he's really not. I was comparing Nagi to a character called Nikaido from Tsurune when we first met him, but he's not like Nikaido. Nikaido in Tsurune he seems very aloof, he's cold, and he kind of seems friendly. He puts on a smile on the surface, but he's really not friendly. He has a lot of internal things going on. And so, as my dogs bark, but I thought Nikaido and Nagi were kind of similar, but they're not. Nagi seems aloof, and he just seems like he doesn't care. He's like, eh. But he's surprisingly polite and nice and blunt. He's just kind of like, I'm just here, I guess. What more do you want from me? It's actually really funny. I like it a lot, actually. So what do we do about that? And then we can beat the top three. No. And then I like that. I think of the three, Reen and Aoshi and Jujubee, I think Jujubee is my favorite because I just love that Jujubee is like, Jujubee just tells it like it is. They're like, that's totally glam. That's not glam. I really appreciate it. Like, Jujubee is willing to give a compliment if they believe that it is valid. So Jujubee is all, Jujubee I'm going to say is the most stable. They're kind of a control freak a little bit because there's a moment during the match where when Reen makes that first goal, Jujubee's like, you didn't tell me what you were going to do. You need to tell me what you're going to do. So Jujubee is kind of a little bit of a control freak, but not mean about it. And they're not mean. They're just all about things being glam. That's why I said they were kind of like Ray from Free. Ray and Free is all about things being beautiful. If you're not swimming beautifully, then how could you be swimming? But they're not posh like that. They're actually really friendly. And Jujubee's a little bit more posh. Jujubee is like if Ray from Free was super posh. That's kind of the vibe that I get from him. But I like Jujubee. I like Jubei, Onryu, or Ryu. I like them a lot. They're freaking good. They have really long arms and legs. They have the swishy hair. They do all the cool poses. They're the most mentally stable of the three. Oh no, they really are. And I like that he's not afraid to make a compliment. Like he was like when he tells him, "Oh, that goal was glam." Like, good for you, Jujubee. Good for you. And then Aoshi bothers me. And then Reen. Oh, Reen. Oh, studied abroad for 3 semesters. Came back to tell you all about it, Reen. Here's the thing. It started, and look, hear me out. When I started this series, I did not have a good impression of Raichi. And Raichi came around. I came around to Raichi. I ended up liking his character. He's an effing Libra. He can't help it. I came around to liking his character. All right? I am sure at some point I'm going to come around to liking Reen's character. But right now, Reen is concerning. Reen has some issues. And we need to talk about them. And what I don't want is people in the comments being like, well, you'll see later on that he actually has this tragic backstory. I don't want to know. I don't want to hear, well, his character in the manga or his character ends up being... I don't want to know. I'll find out as we go. So y'all have to humor me. Just humor me. He is the prettiest character in the whole show, by the way. I mean, I like Jujubee. I like the long hair, the long, luscious hair that is very unrealistic. It should be getting in your face and everyone else's faces. Whatever. But Reen is the prettiest character. Reen is like Reen from Free. He's a diva. He's not a diva shark. The thing about it is, Reen in Free is a diva shark. He cries a lot. He's very over emotional. Reen here in Blue Lock is the opposite of that. He's trying to put on the biggest mask of not caring when he cares the most. So let's talk about that. Okay, so anytime a character is very pretentious, I kind of am like, Now, I can tolerate it with Barrow, because Barrow, I think, knows they're a flawed character. And the way that Barrow pulls it off is that Barrow is a very, like, down and dirty, like, just pragmatic character. He's like, no, I'm just going to score the goals. That's all there is to it. Like, and I like that about Barrow. He doesn't Barrow doesn't, when he puts down Asagi, he's just kind of mocking Asagi, but Asagi kind of gets that, and he kind of throws it back and like, thanks, Barrow, for teaching me things. And Barrow's like, okay, fine. Like, that's, Barrow pulls it off where his character doesn't annoy me. Reen, it's whenever characters start to get a little bit pretentious and they start judging the other characters before they know them. Like Reen is just... And he was doing that even before they started the game. Like, during the selection, he was like, you're operating at such a low level, I might actually die of boredom. I'm like, okay, sir, you don't have to say that out loud and be a dick. You don't have to. And he's like, I bet you think of this act of combat using a ball as a sport. Let's talk about this, okay? Let's talk about this. So Reen believes that soccer is about life and death, and that it is a battlefield. Okay. And I do really like the way that the animation shows it as like, he's like, I don't need your sort. He's like, this is a battlefield. I love that the way they present the field, like with the rocks and everything and the mortar and all of that. He's like, what you're doing is turning your back on a soldier with a gun. I like that Batra and Nagi are like, when did this become Saving Private Ryan? What is this? And then Reen's like, which is so funny because he says like, he's like, that's why you're not good enough. I'm like, but you shot it from the moment you got the ball back. What were they supposed to do? We're going to talk about Reen here in a second. And then, yeah, he just kicks it and that's it. He just kicks it and it goes in the goal. And they're like, oh, well, shit, that sucks. How did that happen? And Nagi's like, is that legal? And Batra's like, well, yeah, but usually it never works. And I like that Honoryu's like, that was too glam. And she's like, are we even needed? It's great. And so he's like, friend or foe, you're all half-baked NPCs to me. Okay. So basically, he has no friends. He did not come here for RuPaul's Friend Race. He has no friends. And it's all him. He is like egoist to the max, right? What's interesting is we've had several characters that kind of have this mentality, but they're all kind of different. So Reen is not like Cone. Cone was willing to do underhanded things to benefit himself. Reen is playing the game logistically. He's playing the game realistically, but he's just kind of a dick. He just doesn't. And my thing is like, you don't have to be like kind of crude like he is. Like he's kind of mean being like, you're all half-baked NPCs. I'm like, dude, what a prick. You know, he gives off, do I say he gives off Akashi vibes from Kuroko's Basketball? Kind of does. He kind of does. He kind of gives off Akashi vibes, and I'm like, ooh, oh buddy. But he's setting himself up to be Asagi's rival because Asagi is a genuinely friendly person. He just, you know, gets serious on the soccer field, and Reen is just does not seem like a friendly person. So the idea of soccer being life and death, I mean, there's lots of options of how we want to look at this. I mean, we don't know enough about Sai to know their background. What's interesting is Sai seems kind of flippant about the whole thing. Sai, from when we met him episodes and episodes earlier, Sai was kind of going on about how Japan's soccer sucks and he wants to go overseas and play for a foreign league that's stronger. But Sai didn't seem like somebody that was like, it was a life or death decision. He was just like, I don't know why I'm here in Japan. Why can't I be in Belgium playing soccer with them? Why am I here? What's the point? Like he didn't seem as intense as Reen. And I'm sure there's a reason behind it. But for Reen, he very much has this mentality of, if I don't make it to challenge my brother, I'm going to die. And I'm like, okay. So I don't know what their rivalry is. I don't know if Sai even has a rivalry with Reen. That's the thing. Sai may not even have a rivalry with Reen, but Reen believes that he does. I don't know what their backstory is. I don't know what their parentage is like. I don't want to know yet. I'm sure we'll find out as we go. But there is something, we talked about this with Chigiri, where a lot of people in the comments were talking about how it can be thought of that Chigiri's mentality about soccer was too extreme and that he didn't need to like, because there's a difference with Chigiri. I'm going to try to word this correctly. With Chigiri, there were some comments we were talking about in the comments about questioning, was Chigiri putting soccer too much at the forefront at the stake of his own body and well-being, right? And that was like a physical well-being. That's what I'm getting at. You had Chigiri, who people were questioning if his physical well-being was being detrimented by his obsession with soccer. And we determined by the end of it that no, he's done the therapy, his leg's gotten better. The whole thing was that he was mentally holding himself back and being too afraid that something bad was going to happen again. Not that it had the probability of happening, but just that it would. He was getting more psychosomatic about it than even the doctors telling him were. So we determined by the end of it that no, Chigiri's okay. It was just like the threat of physical detriment that soccer could have was what we were looking at. Here with Reen, it's like emotional detriment. Like he's taking soccer so seriously and saying that like it is life or death. Every game he will either live or die. So we talked a few episodes back about Ego giving the example of Noah and saying that he came from an impoverished community and soccer was his only escape. Soccer was his only way of survival and getting out of that community. And that's why it mattered so much to him. So I'm curious if Reen is in the same situation and Reen is like, I've got to do this or I can't survive. But I don't know, because Sai doesn't act like that. Sai seems so privileged. In like during the journalist meeting, Sai was just like, why are we doing this? What's the point? Like he seemed so privileged when we saw Sai in that earlier episode. So is that only because Sai is like banking off of the funds and stuff he's accumulated through soccer and he lives a much more comfy life? And so that's why he can afford to have that privilege? Because if it was the case of Reen like needing to do soccer to financially be stable, then you would think Sai would maybe act similar, unless Sai's just kind of been spoiled by having, you know, a life of privilege now that he's become a professional soccer player. I don't know. But his attitude is very interesting because it's so different than Sai's. So I'm very curious to know like why Reen is so dead serious about soccer and why it's life or death and all of this. Like I'm so curious to know more about Reen. I'm at the point where I don't really like Reen's character as far as how he acts, especially towards others, but I'm so curious about Reen's character. I want to know more. Right? But he's just like, this is a waste of time. And what's so interesting is like, you have Asagi who is all into the blue lock system. Like Asagi loves it. Asagi's like praising it. He thinks it's the best thing since sliced bread. I think that's why Ego is so attached to him. And then you have Reen who's like, this is stupid and a waste of time. He just happens to be insanely talented. And so I'm going to be curious to see how those two mentalities will do later on in the series, right? And for all we know, Reen like grew up practicing soccer like Noah to get to this point. So, he's like, and then Asagi's like, well, you realize that soccer's your dream too. And he's like, oh, a dream? Nothing is as dull and complacent as that. Losing in soccer means losing your reason to exist. In other words, it's the same as dying. Soccer is a fight to the death. And I don't know. I feel like in any sports in general, it shouldn't be a fight to the death. It shouldn't be that, you know, you're not going to die if you lose one game in soccer. But okay. It's just he's sounding like Akashi, right? He's sounding like he's like, if I lose, everything's over. Well, no. It's not. But okay. So, and I know that if they lose technically at some point in this, they're going to eventually get to where they can't play soccer professionally anymore. And for them and their dreams, yeah, that's a problem. But Reen is making it seem like if he loses at soccer at all, he has no job prospects. He has nothing outside of it to go. And that mentality is a little bit unhealthy. And I'm like, dude, you need to go to some therapy. You need to calm the frick down. And chill for 5 seconds. But that's not happening. That's not Reen. Reen is the opposite of chill. I like Batra. Batra saying weirdo alert. Yeah. I'm going to be curious to see if Batra ends up, like, what his thoughts are about Reen as they compete together. For Batra, he's just trying to make it to the end of the game. So he's probably just like, I'll play with you if that's what I have to do. Okay. Sure. I'll just do whatever the monster's telling me. And then go from there. I love Jujubee throughout this. His hair swishing. It's very pretty. It's cool. Then Aoshi. Aoshi is also like the legs that Jujubee has is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Like, what the frick? So then we have Aoshi. I do like the little face that they give where it's like Nagi has a little like lamb face and Batra's like, what do we do? It's great. Mr. Glammy long legs. He's like a daddy long legs. Aoshi is the one that probably concerns me the most. And that's like his mentality that he is useless unless he wins. that's probably the mentality that I hate the most. Like with Reen, we don't know what his deal is. Why does he think it's life and death? What's his goal? What's his relationship with his brother? How does that work? But with Aoshi, Aoshi is literally like, if I don't score a goal and do well, I won't have friends, nobody will like me, and my life will be useless now, and there's no point to me existing. And I want to be like, whoa, you're okay, dude. You need to chill out. You need therapy as well. So I'm like, oh no. Like his attitude, it's terrifying. And it just makes him like so crazy overpowered. He like goes into overdrive and becomes a titan where he just has to like literally just throw, and he even like throws Isagi aside to go make a goal. Like that's terrifying. Yeah, if I get carried away, people will hate me and I'll lose all of this. I'm like, he needs some therapy. Jujubee's probably fine. And then Rin needs some therapy too. Some sibling counseling or something. The fudge. Yeah. And then poor Asagi, are we gonna lose this? Like they go through, like Asagi goes through the gambit. Like Asagi is really overthinking and worried that they're not gonna win. And I think that's bringing up a really important mentality that Nagi and Bachra are just kind of like, well, we'll just adapt. We'll make it work. We'll be able to do this. Isagi is the one that kind of becomes pessimistic and starts to worry about things. And he does that rather easily. And I think one of the big things that comes out of this match is the idea that, look, if you want to win, you have to all the time, you can't get in the mindset of thinking that you're going to lose. You have to just you got to be realistic, but you've also got to keep fighting and don't let the other side play mind games with you. And I feel like Asagi falls prey to mind games pretty easily at this point. He needs some more confidence. Our boy needs some more confidence. He needs to realize he can do things without Bachra. And so that's why I think it's smart that the mangaka lets them be separated. But it hurts. It sucks. I do like that Nagi is like, I'm going to keep making it more interesting. Nagi is a people pleaser. Believing it or not, he's a people pleaser. I get why Rayo is obsessed now, which #Taurus. I'm like, I get why Rayo is obsessed, right? I also think it's important to note that Bachra is someone that can control a situation, right? He can control a situation, and that's why he kind of falls in line with the other three. And that we kind of get that explained when Nagi receives the pass from Bachra, and he's like, oh, when Rayo passes me the ball, he just lets me do whatever I want with it. When Bachra passes me the ball, it has an intent behind it, and he's telling me what to do. That's kind of like, Bachra, I feel, would be a setter in volleyball. He would be the one to set the ball and control it. I feel like Bachra would be a setter. I feel like that's kind of what he does. And that explains why Jujubee and Aoshi want him on the team. They're like, oh, well, he can control passes and set things and control the situation. That would be great. And Reen just doesn't care. But I feel as if Nagi needs to be able to make his own decisions and act on his own without someone telling him what to do. He seems to have problems with that right now. And Isagi needs to not rely on others and be confident that he can do it. He just got to the point where he was confident doing his direct shot, but now he's still overthinking things. And I'm like, Isagi, my dude, come on, boy. But you know what? I've watched Ace of the Diamond. I've seen the main characters at their worst. If I can get through that, I can get through Blue Lock. So we'll just have to see what ends up happening. So yeah, and then Jujubee's like, are they having a strategy meeting? And Rin's like, I don't care. So they try to do the 3-on-3 strategy and pass it back and forth, which Rin thinks is stupid. Rin's like, you're just passing the ball back and forth. How are you even a striker? Just go ahead and shoot it. I feel like from how much Rin has practiced shooting and is really good at his shots, that's like literally all he's done. I feel like they're going to give us the backstory that he's like was militaristically trained to be a soccer machine, and that life or death is all on the line with soccer, and Sai is the prodigy brother that doesn't have to try, and Reen's had to work really, really hard to get here, and all of this stuff. But you could be less of a prick about it. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So, in any case, Reen obviously has different experience than Asagi, but he thinks that they're all just still passing and not taking the initiative to keep going. And again, it was Nagi and Bachra working together that allowed the goal to happen. It was their chemical reaction, right? And I love Nagi saying, how many more do you want? But yeah, Rena's like, this is not best friend race. I don't care about these other two on my team. I just want to score a goal. I'm staking my life every moment. Like, he doesn't think they're serious. He's like, you guys aren't taking this seriously. You're still treating this like it's a game. No, I need to get to this one moment. I have a mission on the line. Get out of my way. I appreciate the resolve that Reen has, and I appreciate that Reen seems to be the embodiment of what Ego wants them to be, in terms of he is his own scorer and he can do things by himself. But I am a little bit worried about the health of his mentality, especially around others. Because I'm like, I guess it doesn't matter if you're on a team and you're the one scoring, but professionally, like, how's that going to work? Like, what? I feel like I need to see Sai on a team with others to kind of see the comparison, but I've not watched enough soccer to really truly know. But yeah, man, some of the expressions in this. Oh, and then Asagi says, you're half-baked too, Reen. And Reen's like, oh, really? Okay. The moment they got out of bounds and they were all standing next to the goal, and Asagi's like, we've got this. I'll be in the middle next to the goalkeeper and it'll be fine. I was like, he's going to score that goal from right where he's standing. Because we saw him curve the shot up when they were in the selection stage. I'm like, he's going to curve that up and do that. That's exactly what's going to happen. And that is exactly what happens. I was like, ooh. And then, yeah, he manages to score it, and it doesn't work. And Asagi, again, is overthinking and being like, well, I couldn't do anything. I was in the best place I could be. But he can't get around Reen. Now, we don't know exactly what Reen's ability is. It seems like his ability is shooting and being able to angle the perfect shot. That seems to be his skill. But Isagi's realizing, just like how Asagi has a direct shot and his spatial awareness, Reen has an angular shot. It's like, it's so funny because you have Asagi, who has this spatial awareness, and he has the direct shot that like shoots straight forward. Then you have Reen, who has this angled shot that can go here, there, and everywhere. But he also has seemingly spatial awareness of his own. Or he has foresight. Why not? Why not? It's like Nash Gold versus Akashi. Why not? I love it. He's like, I'll end you. I did like Jujubee throughout this that was like, I have arrived. I have disappeared. I have done this. I think Jujubee's my favorite of the three. I like him. I like Jubei the most. But yeah, and then Isagi going up and asking for Bachara. And that's when Reen, whose aura is aquamarine as his eyes, says, go find a book on how the human eye works and learn something, you piece of trash. And he's like, wait, what? That's the thing. It seems like Reen figured out. Reen is, oh my God, no, wait, oh no. Reen is like, if Kuroko from Kuroko's Basketball and Akashi got together, Reen is like the dark version of Kuroko. Oh no, he is! He's like the dark version of Kuroko mixed with Akashi from Kuroko's Basketball. He is, because it's like, he basically has the same ability that Isagi does, except he has had time. Here's the difference. Isagi just now, within the last few months, figured out his ability, awakened it, and has been putting it into practice, like over the span of like weeks and months. Reen has had time to perfect. I'm sure he's had time to read up on books about spatial awareness and misdirection, things like that. He's had time to read up on those skills. He knows how the human eye works. He knows the psychology of it. He's had time to practice his shots. Like, Reen has had time to practice, and Isagi has not. And that's the long and short of it. So the question is going to be, is Isagi's growth going to be able to catch up with Reen's experience? And I don't know if that's going to be the case. But he's able to get the goal. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I can't. He's like, that's the difference between us. And what I like here is at the very end, Isagi's like, even though I knew we were going to lose and I was terrified, all I could do was stare at how beautiful his shot was in the air. Like, again, Isagi is the type of character that can appreciate when he's defeated. He can appreciate all that's around him, whether he's the victor or whether he's the loser. He sees the beauty in it. And I feel like, just like with Baro, Isagi's going to try to, like, learn from this mistake and get stronger. But yeah, and then Reen's like, I don't care who we pick. And they pick Bachara. Like, your passes are extraordinary. If you join us, we'll be be even stronger. And he's like, please don't hate me. I like that, like, Aoshi is so worried about whether he's making a good impression or not. And Jujubee's like, just assist my glam goals, please. Help us out. We're all individually good, and you can help strengthen us as our anchor. Be my stage hand, Bachara. Oh, no. He said, be my stage hand. Oh, my God. He's so theatrical. Oh, no. And Bachara's like, okay, sure thing. And then Reen's like, let's go. Oh, my God. Reen, don't go dozing off, Bobcut. Your future is in my hands. Oh, my God. And Bachara's like, I wanted to be on Asagi's team to the end. That, again, we talked about Reo and Nagi last episode, where Nagi's like, we'll make it to the end. Don't worry. Bachara's like, I wanted to be on your team to the end, Asagi, but I've got to go with him. That's the rules. It felt like the genie from Aladdin, when the genie, like, takes Aladdin and sends him into the tundra. He's like, I got to do this, kid. I'm sorry. I got a new master now. Oh, and Asagi's like, but Bachara... He's like, I guess I'll go. That is the rule. And when he turns around, he's like, but I'm not going to wait for you, Asagi. He's like, if you want me, come and get me. Bachara's always had that little edge of craziness to him. So he's like, come on, Asagi. Don't let me down. He's like, you're going to come find me, right? I'm not waiting for you. Let's go. He's like, you come and get me. I'll follow the monster inside of me. Oh, but you know, he's like, from here on, I have to chase after. And then Asagi says, from here on, I'll have to chase after what I've lost to get it back again. What shipping? What shipping words? Are you crazy? Oh. And then Nagi's like, okay, this is what we're going to have to do in this blue lock that's jam-packed with egoists. Oh. And we have Nagi and Asagi lose. Oh my God. And then we have the ED, which I'm sure I'll be analyzing over and over again. And then we basically have how Ouchie was trying to, like, figure out whose team he was going to be on. And Jujubee was just like, let's go. And Rin's like, we're going to all do it together. Fine. Oh. So, it sucks to have the gang broke up. It sucks to have Bachara go on. Am I going to ship Bachara with any of those three others? Hell no. No. But I feel like Nagi. I want Nagi and Asagi to make it to the third selection. And I want the doors to open. And I want Asagi to burst through and be like, Bachara! And Bachara's like, Asagi, you made it! And for them to hug each other. I know I'm asking for a lot, and that probably won't happen in this season, but I just want that. I will freak out if it happens, and I want it so badly. So, I don't think that Reen and the others are going to have any problem getting past the second selection. I think they're going to whiz past the next group they face, and then, huzzah, there they go. I feel like that's not going to be a problem for them. But, could be wrong. But I think they're going to make it to the second selection pretty easily. Who their fifth player is that they pick up? I don't know. We'll see. Could it be Baro? Oh my God, they could face... What if Baro and them... What if Chigiri and Kunigami and Baro faced a team with Reo? One, grabbed Reo and made a team of 4. What if they faced them? And then we had this team, one, they chose Baro to take with them. And Baro went with them, and then we were left with Chigiri, Kunigami, and Reo against Nagi, Asagi, and somebody else. I don't know. I don't know how this is going to go. Now it's going to be like, well, who are they going to face? How are they going to... I need to know what's happening with the other teams. So, yeah, I don't know how this is going to go down, but I'm pretty excited. So, yeah. In any case, I'm excited to hear your thoughts down below. I hope you all enjoyed this reaction and discussion. I'm super curious to see what's going to happen next. I'm probably going to wait till I see the comments and be able to read those before I go into episode 14. But I'm so freaking excited to see what's going to happen next. And I hope you all are too. So in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back very soon with more Blue Lock. Bye.